is pretty easy. You just gotta know one formula, so let's get into it. We have that the following frequency distribution table shows the test grades for a group of students. Now notice here we have a frequency distribution. Frequency is right here. We will understand that in a second. For this distribution, the mean grade is 4.5. So the mean is 4.5. And for part A, we need to write down the total number of students, so total number of students in terms of P. Now, fairly simple, but there are one or two things that we need to understand thoroughly. So, first things first, the frequency. What is the frequency doing? What is going on here? There are 7 grades, okay? And so how do you interpret this? Getting a grade of 1, okay, assume grades are from 1 to 7, see? So getting a 1 is like failing, getting a 7 is getting on 100%. See, that's like the idea I'm trying to give you. Or 7 points, you can think about it like that too. Got it? So the student that got 1 point or a grade of 1, how many students had a grade of 1? Only 1, because the frequency is 1. How many students had a grade of 2? 4 of them. How many students had a grade of 3? 7 of them. How many students had a grade of 4? 9. How many students had a grade of 5? P, who knows what that is? How many students had a grade of 6? 9. How many students had a grade of 7? 4. All right. So clearly down below, for frequency, it's also associated to number of students. And this, it makes sense, because imagine we had a different table, like a smaller one, and let's say this was, I don't know, coffees drank. And here we have frequency, see? And I tell you, I don't know, of the people that drank 1 coffee, we had 2, and of the people that drank 2 coffees, we had 3. How many people did I survey? Well, you add the ones that drank 1 coffee with the people that drank 2 coffees, so 2 plus 3, your total's 5. Makes sense, doesn't it? Well, up here, we have to follow the same sort of logic. So for part A, we need to write down the total number of students in terms of P. So the number of students has to be all the frequencies added up together. So you can have 1 plus 4 plus 7 plus 9 plus P plus 9 plus 4. Now you can do that with your brain, or you can use the graphing calculator because you should have it for the test. So why not? You do 1 plus 4 plus 7 plus 9 plus 9 plus 4. So here I added everything except for the P. So all of this combined together is going to give you 34 plus P. Okay, notice how I didn't add P onto my calculator because I can't. For part A, the total number of students in terms of P is 34 plus P. Now, the other small disclaimer I should be doing is that because it says in terms of P, well, what does that mean? Basically, it's asking you, write down the total number of students, and your equation has to, or your expression has to include P. Whenever it says in terms of P, your answer needs to have that P inside of it. If they tell you to write something in terms of X, your answer needs to have X inside of it. Write down something in terms of Y, your Y has to be inside of it. That is what it means by in terms of this, in terms of that, in terms of P, your P gotta be in there. Not literally, but okay. For part A, it's gonna be 34 plus P. Yeah, for part B, we needed to calculate the value of P. And so here it's a little bit different, right? Now, what do you have to work with? On the one hand, you have the massive hint that sometimes in IB, more often than not, something from part B requires something from part A. So why would I need the total number of students for calculating the value of P? So on the one hand, you have, these are your 2 pieces of information. On the one hand, you have total number students. So that is one piece of information we have, that the total number of students is 34 plus P. The other piece of information that you have right now is that the mean grade, because they told us earlier, the mean grade is 4.5. So how can I, using these two things, try to find the value of P? Well, the obvious question we have to do is, how does the mean grade have to do with the total number of students? How are they associated? How are they not? Okay, we have the mean grade. What is the formula for mean? Now, I can show you from the formula booklet, and it's very useful to know because the day of the test, the formula booklet is something you will be using. Guys, the day of the test, you'll be walking in with a couple of things. You'll be walking in with a pen and pencil, a calculator, 2 years of experience of this thing called IB, 2 hours of sleep, and the formula booklet, okay? The formula booklet has a lot of formulas inside of it, of course, but it's no use to have it if you don't know what's in it. It's no use to have it if you're not quick with it. So you read mean, you're already opening up the calculator, the formula booklet, to find the statistics and probability page. Bada bing, bada boom, there it is. There is the formula for mean. Now, this formula for mean looks absolutely nasty, let's be honest. See? So let's break it down a little bit. On the one hand, for mean, this n down here is just going to be your total. So, whoops. So the total number of students right here, that's going to be the n in your equation, right? And then the mean, which is x with a little bit of a bar on top. So this is the mean, right? Like your result. Well, it's right here. So this is going to be your x with a bar on top. So all you're really missing is all this stuff up here. Now, what is this? This is I think you call it a summation in English. Una sumatoria. Whatever. Point is, that is like your data in essence. It's like your data. It's your raw data. You can think about it that way. Now, I think it makes much more sense if I just show you instead of me trying to explain what the summation thing does. The one thing I do need you to understand is that a summation, o una sumatoria, all it really does is it adds up all of your different f's with x's. Okay? So it's a long chain of addition. That will be your numerator. All right, but applying the formula that I have until now, I have the mean there on the left, and I have the total on the bottom. So for now, what I can, I keep showing the answer. So for now, what I can do, okay, is that I have the mean grade. I have the total on the bottom for your denominator, which is 34 plus P. And now I can start filling in the numerator up top. So for finding the mean here, all you really need to do is multiply the grade times the frequency and add, you have to add all of these multiplications, right? So you have to add 1 times 1 plus 2 times 4 plus 3 times 7 plus 4 times 9 plus 5 times P, etc., etc. How does it look on pen and paper? Here it is on your screen. So you have the first grade, which is going to be 1 times 1 plus 2 times 4 plus 3 times 7 plus 4 times 9 plus 5 times P plus 6 times 9, 69, plus 7 times 4. All right? So this helps you calculate the value of P. And I know some of you are already thinking, this guy on YouTube is crazy. This looks nasty. And I would say, I am crazy, and this does look nasty. But there is one thing you have to admit is very helpful to you. Although this formula looks absolutely terrifying, there's only one variable. You only have the variable P. Yes, you have it in 2 places, but it's the only variable you have. And so you know you can reach P equals something from here. It might take a couple of steps, but you're going to get there. Okay? So this formula does look nasty, but you only have P in it, so you can solve it. Okay? Yeah, the first thing I would suggest that you do is actually getting rid of this denominator. No one likes denominators, so how can you get rid of it? Well, this denominator is technically dividing, so what you can do is multiply both sides by 34 plus P. Because if you multiply both sides by 34 plus p, this goes away with this, and you end up with, well, obviously you need to do 34 times 4.5, because we are distributing like this, right? So I end up with 153 plus 4.5p. Has to equal all these different parentheses. Now, of course, I have the 5p over here that will remain unchanged. So I know I will have 5p somewhere in there, plus all the addition of all the other ones. So all the other ones, which I'm now marking in green, I will be putting into my calculator, adding each other, okay? So putting all those guys in green, I end up with 1 times 1 plus 2 times 4 plus 3 times 7 plus 4 times 9 plus 6 times 9 plus 7 times 4. Let me double check. Looks okay. Boom. So 5p plus 148. Okay? Yeah. And so now we need to, well, combine what I can combine. I'm going to choose to have all p's on the right side. So I can do minus 4.5p minus 4.5p. I end up with 153 equals 0.5p plus 148. You want to get p alone, so you do minus 148 minus 148. That gives me 5 equals 0.5p. You divide by 0.5 onto both sides, and this should be giving me p equals 10. Let's see if my quick maths worked out well. It does give you 10. So p has to equal 10 in this context. Let me just double check with the answer key over here. But look at that, p equals 10. We followed the same formula. It's essential that you use the mean formula here. See? 34 plus p. I'm just showing you the answers so that you trust this guy online. Not that you should trust guys online, but at least for this math problem you can. That's how you solve number 5. So the quick recap is keep in mind how the mean formula works, okay? And also acknowledge how I reached it. First, especially if there's a problem that you're kind of stuck on, write down what you know. And so what I knew was the total number of students and the mean grade. And I said, okay, is there a formula that connects the two? Well, the biggest buzzword here is mean. So let's look at the mean formula in the formula booklet. And through there, you quickly established, there's 3 things you need to fill in. See, you need to fill in quite literally the mean, then the n, which is the total, which are both of the things that I have over here, right? Here I have the mean, here I have the total. And last but not least, you need to plug in like your raw data, right? So that was the last step I had to do. I plugged in the raw data, much how it looks over there, ¿cierto? On top of the numerator. I suggest you put it in parentheses so that it's more easier to visualize or think about. But that's the whole procedure, see? I will also say this is a classic. I've seen it show up more than once. It tests 2 things. It tests if you understand the frequency distribution, and it also tests if you understand how to get a specific value within your table if you have the mean. Okay, I've seen it more than once that you use the formula for the mean to find something inside the table. So, enough has been said. That is for number 5.